You are looking at the I&I builds A340-300 in classic Air Jamaica colors. How you doing, everybody? CJ here. I am your classic jet sim pilot, and today we got sort of a fun, unique flight, and it goes into my modern classics category. You all should know by now, and if you don't, and you're new to the channel, welcome. And if you've been watching, welcome back. But as you know, I use sort of the 25-year mark as a delineation between standard and classic jets. And the A340-300 actually was around more than 25 years ago. And with all the furor around A340s right now in the sim world because of the excellent A340-600 as released by Tolis and Aerosoft, wanted to find a way to get in on the action. And I hadn't actually picked this up for my I&I builds, so I checked it out. And I gotta tell you, I'm very pleased with it. I have not flown the Aerosoft Tolis version, but that's a different airplane. The A300-600 is a much different airplane than the 300. I say that because it is quite a bit larger. But anyway, yeah, the Air Jamaica was flying the A340 in 1998. They acquired their first one, and then a couple years later, they acquired two more. And so here we are in 1998, in the fall of '98. And we're flying today a route that it actually flew from Montego Bay in the northwest corner of the island down to Kingston, which is at the southeast corner of the island. And the reason it did this is because it was actually a continuation flight from the UK. So the 340 was not surprisingly used to fly between Jamaica and London. In the beginning, that was its primary route. But this version of the flight would come into Montego Bay, offload the folks that want to get off there, and then continue on to Kingston. Right? Because when you only have one sort of flagship, you want to get it around to your major hubs and do the runs. They also, previous to the 340 and concurrent with the 340, their wide body for the longer routes was the Airbus A310. So the 340 was quite a step because it's the 310-300 is a really neat airplane, but it's much smaller than the 340. So here we are. We're going to be going from Montego Bay down to Kingston. I'm excited. It's not a long flight. It's only about 25 minutes in the air. It'll take a lot longer to get everything set up and going than the flight itself. But ain't nothing to it but to do it. So let's get in the cockpit. I have uploaded the flight plan into the EFB, and it's under the My Flight, just like with the other I&I builds. Aircraft in their EFB loaded and import from Debrief here, and then you can go to the payload and fueling. And I imported it all from the Debrief. I added a little bit of fuel. It actually planned me at 27,000 pounds of fuel. I made it 30,000 just because I like nice round numbers. But the weather's good, shouldn't be any big deal. And I did an instant load because obviously to load this airplane, we've got about 280 passengers. And although not much fuel, we'll still be very light. Look at our zero fuel weight is 335,000 pounds. And our takeoff weight will only be 365,000 pounds as a result because it's only the 30,000 pounds of fuel, right? So we are well under the max weights, right? Max takeoff weight on this airplane is about 609,000 pounds. So we should have a fairly sprightly performance, needless to say. Just looking at the EFB, right? It's Innie's latest incarnation of the EFB in the A340, and we've got everything unattached. You can also adjust. I kind of went past it real fast. But you can adjust the grime on the airplane, the weathering, if there's snow that's accumulated on it, so that's kind of fun. You got the full GSX integration here, which I'm sort of mixed about. I'm not necessarily a huge fan of having to go to the EFB. I like having GSX available to me. I need to get flow. I need to try that out instead of this top menu, which gets in the way a lot. Right? when I'm taxiing, right? I don't want to have to look here and access it. It's nicer to do this. But luckily, even when you have it um, on the tablet, you can still pull it up here. Some other integrations force you to use the tablet integration. So anyway, it's other than that, it's a fairly normal setup. We'll do our takeoff performance here in a bit. We do have maintenance items, wear items, just like on the other INI aircraft. And there's also the failures and situation system here. I do have it set so GPS jamming is a real thing. Not so common over here in this hemisphere, but I've been doing some flying as Cam Air out of Kabul, Afghanistan, and there is GPS jamming in that area of the world, that's for sure. But you've got some malfunctions you can run through in situations there. They do have autosave built in, which is kind of nice. And then we did calibrate our throttles, something you should always do with the aircraft your first time in after a while, because as we all know, Microsoft's control binding system is not very good. Love the sim, hate their control binding system. And then other settings, of course, also that have to do with the aircraft, the FB, and all your audio and call-outs. So it's a very good package if you haven't tried it yet. And it being part of the Airbus family, it is a control system and a layout that should be very familiar with anybody that has flown the A320 family. It is you can go between the two cockpits, and pretty much everything is exactly where you expect it to be. We're checking out the FB, making sure we got the right aircraft. We've got the current database. That is not the current database. And I did update it. Well, we'll go with it for right now. Since it probably won't make a bit of difference on this short flight, and I doubt we'll have ATC on. So we're good. Do the init request. Yep, we're going to check database cycle. I should look. I don't know if I don't remember because I haven't done an update yet. Is there? Be in the planner. And by the way, this is kind of interesting. You do a whole Debrief plan right here. You don't have to go out to the website. Oh, I do have to do this. So I click it. I'm logged in to Navigraph. I don't know. It doesn't appear as though anything. Well, something might be happening. It just had a little stutter, as if something was happening. I don't know why. Well, regardless, let's get out of here. I'll play around with that later. You would think it would load it into the second nav database, which is becoming more and more common with developers and how they work the aircraft, and that way you know it's been updated. Anyway, all right. On the second, let's load up the ATSU because we did get a company message. We've got our load sheet. We'll do our most current one, and there we are. 335. We can just so we don't get nagged, we can acknowledge the other two. Now there is an init, flight init button over here as well, but I already did it on the other side, so the information should be there. So there we are, Air Jamaica 2910 from Montego Bay down to Kingston, with Montego Bay as our alternate. 22 minutes en route. And there we are, cost index 34. Flight level 130. Let's bring up the charts. And our flight plan today, I should have looked at to confirm the routing. Kimbo 3, Kimbo. Kimbo 3. And then our arrival, just Salak. Runway 12, because the winds are sort of out of the south. Looking to see if Kimbo is anywhere on the arrival. I don't see it. So, Fabal, since we're coming from that direction, maybe Fabal will be a good one. So yeah, we should be good to go. Let's go back to our init. Init page is correct. MKJS, we're departing. And 25, I believe, is our planned departure. It is runway 25. Kimbo 3 with Kimbo as the arrival. And then what we can do is we can look at plan. We're going to have to look at what it's asking us to do here. So there's Selak. Yeah, so arrival ILS 12. We don't have an arrival. But approach via, and then what was yeah, we're more or less straight in. Yeah. Okay. Our I think we're okay. There the Seabug. Yeah, Seabug. Salak. So Seabug is our is right on the approach. So that's why. That's why it looks the way it does. So CBUG is at 2,800 feet. Actually, CBUG is at or above 2,800. So we can CBUG. So see how CBUG has the 2,800, SAILOC is 2,000. CBUG, I'm putting in the 2,800, 2,000, and we should be go. Diffs, copy the active, RadNav. See if we need anything on the departure. Our departure chart, let's see, pinned, Kimbo 3. Kimbo 3, we take off runway 25. Turn right and climb on CO radial 267. So we take off here, slight right turn to 267 to the 8 DME of SIA. Then a right turn to intercept and proceed inbound on the 310 radial to the SIA VOR and intercept the Alpha Tango 5 route. Or Alpha Tango Sierra route. ATS. Cross SIA VOR at or above 3,000 at Sangster, and then DME 15.0 at above 4,500. So there we are, and then on out to Kembo. So 267 radial. So what we'll do is we'll put in SIA in our Sangster in our radio. I'll hard tune it in both. Those should turn into big, like that. I'm not sure why it wasn't allowing me to put in the identifier. It's typically the preferred method, at least what I was taught. It's easier to confuse numbers than it is the letters, I guess. And then our outbound was 267. So I'll put 267 into the first course, and then intercept the 130. Yeah, the 310 radial. So then 130, which is the 310 radial. 130 radial back in. So I've got that set on the number 2. So now I've got them both set in here. So we have it set up as a backup in case we need it on departure. Yeah, there's our turn out, turn back in, and then I'm not sure what this, why there's this turn here. Usually the FMS defaults to that because of there's a speed. It doesn't think you can make the restriction, but if we need to, we'll manage the airplane through there via heading mode, and then make sure we're on the proper radial on the way out. So we'll take a look at that once we're in the air, or it could also sort itself out as we go. So now we got the init B page. We'll go back to our load sheet. We are looking at a zero fuel weight of 335.1 and Mac zero fuel weight 26.7. There, we've got 30,000 pounds of fuel. Yep, and then our burn for the takeoff, or for the taxi out, we're good to go. Okay, going back to our flight plan real quick, we will double check our burn requirements. Takeoff fuel, we're actually at 30. Taxi is 1,300 pounds, which we have planned on. Route reserve, we won't use. Alternate, back to Sangster, 7.4. And our final final reserve is 11.0. There we are, and then when that gives us 20 minutes extra. So we've got the init fuel prediction, init 2 page, the second init page done with the fuel. Now we can go to performance. Sync the weather. Sync FMS. There we go. Sync the current weather. 8,700 foot runway. Winds out of the south, we got that right, 365,000 pounds. Optimum, air conditioning is on, anti-ice is off. We don't necessarily need to force toga. Doing the calculations, we're looking at a flaps 1 takeoff and 26.7 with a trim of 5.2 up. Now what we can do is we can send it directly to the flight management and guidance system. And here it puts in the V-speeds. We can confirm it. And now we've got everything in. Pretty slick. Progress page is the next piece. MKJP, right? Is that where we're starting? Or MKJS, Sangster. And runway 25. We'll put that in our progress page to start with. How about MKJS? This is very odd. That's not something I've seen before. MKJP, not being able to put in a waypoint. Alright, well, we don't need that page to depart, so we'll check that out later. See what we got to do. All right. Let's run through ground control, cruise supply, oxygen cruise supply comes on. That should remove the amber warning here. Double check our oil quantity here. Although I always thought the ECAM had to be on. The ECAM, the FADEC had to be powered to get oil quantity. So typically you'd, where is it in this airplane? There it is. The FADEC. Turn it on so you can check the oil quantities. Maybe the 340 is different. Or maybe you do that so that the sensor takes a new reading, maybe. Anyway, we've got good oil quantity, so we're good there. We can shut that down. Check our hydraulics. Got good quantities everywhere. And then again at the main page, oxygen is good. No lights here. We've tested the APU. No lights on the IRS. Got our strobe set to auto. Navs are on. All the other lights are off. We can go ahead and turn on the seatbelt sign. And the emergency lights are armed. All the other interior lights are off. We've got no lights here other than the pack lights, which are normal. We know we can turn these down to about 10 o'clock. External power is still on. While we're here, we'll go ahead and fire up the APU. Always fun to listen to the APU spool up. And we can also go ahead and turn on the fuel pumps since we are refueled. Those lights should be whiter, I believe. Whiter. No lights there. All that cooling is set to normal. The PA is at 1 o'clock and on. Looks good. I already forgot our QNH. 1010. Yeah. Yep. 1010. 1010. Gauge looks good. Date is correct. Radios are set up the way I want them. I don't believe there's 1875. There is a separate, a discrete CTAF here. $1875. 2 is set to 122.8 in emergency, and we want to listen to it, so we're good there. PAs are up, interphone is up, radar's off, predictive wind shear is off, parking brake is set, rudder trim's at 0, all the engine master switches are off. We do not have a squawk code. Since we are not in the US, we'll leave it at 2000. We come back around here, we would check our oxygen. Set our lights the way we want them. We're good. All those lights are off, which is fine. Brightness is good. Coming across the top, we can turn on our flight directors. Constraint, VOR mode is on. Arc, constraint on the other side. I'll give the FO the needles also. 13,000 is it. Alright, the glare shield control panel is set. I know that's not the Airbus term. And I think we are good to go. Let's do the before start. Cockpit prep's completed. Gear pins or covers are removed. Can we see them back here? I don't know where they normally put them in the A340. Usually there's a spot for them right here so you can see the pins. That we have the ship's pins. Well, anyway, no biggie. Signs are on and auto. ADIRs are in. Are all in nav. Fuel quantity is set. 30,000 pounds, 30,000 pounds, and equally distributed. Takeoff data is set 155, 161, 165 with a flex. Oh, that didn't transfer. What was our flex? Or wasn't there one? Was it full? Full toga? Ah, yeah, it is. That's why. Toga takeoff. Awesome. And barrel raft set 1010. Windows and doors are closed. Well, they're not closed yet. But we can. All right, windows and doors are closed. Beacons on. Thrust levers are at idle. Parking brake is set. 4-star checklist complete. We shall await the pushback. And the pushback will be, we'll call it nose right. Or actually nose left, since we're going out 2.5. We are ready for pushback. It's always a challenge setting the push talk switch too. Don't know why. Nose left. Brakes released. All right, we'll start with 1 and 2. Engine mode selector goes to start. We wait for the FADEC to be completely powered up. No more X's. And turning 1. No. There we go. How about that? Of course, I didn't even look at that. Let's wait for the bleed pressure, shall we? Ah, okay. Nothing to see here. All right. Once N2 is above 10%, we can start number 2. There we are. Turn 2. Watching that bleed pressure. Starter valves open. Gun ignition on 1. There's the light off. Got oil pressure on 1. Ignition on 2. Oil pressure's rising. There's fuel flow. There's light off. Oil pressure's coming up nicely. Brakes are set. Pressure's normal. Number 1's available. And there's the rollback. Number 2's available. Turning 3. We got pressure. Yeah. Alright, starter valves open. N2. There's 10%. Starting 3, or turning 4. Starter valves open. There's the ignition on 3. We got oil pressure. Fuel flow. Light off. Starter valves are closed on 1 and 2. There's ignition on 4. There's fuel flow and light off. Bye. See ya. Check my SPAD real quick. Yeah, I didn't think I had the right one loaded in here. Ugh. Is that really gonna mess up? It did. Alright, number 4 is available. Norm. APU bleed can come off. We don't need anti-ice. No other white lights. Status is good. First officer arms the speed brakes, sets the flaps. The trim to 5.2 up. Status is checked. I would normally now do the control, but I need to reset my darn Sim App Pro, because when I changed my up to put in the right profile for SPAD, it took over from the Sim App Pro. Kind of annoying. So we'll let Sim Up Pro come up to speed, and I should get all my WinWing stuff back up. There we are. Okay, control check. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Rudder. Full left. Full right, neutral. And away we go. Thanks for traffic, Air Jamaica 2910, texting from the terminal on runway 25 via Alpha. It is a very tropical livery, is it not? Got a lot of room on our right side, so I'm not in a hurry. You're worse off understeering than oversteering over on this corner. But it is a big airplane, so you do need to oversteer. Yeah, it looks as if we're way over the runway, way over the edge of the taxiway. We're really not. All right, we will continue our taxi out to runway 25. We need to go down to Alpha, sort of. Here, and then we'll need a back taxi and do the 180 down at the end of 25. Sorry, I'm just trying to set my push-to-talk switch here. I don't know why it doesn't pick it up. It doesn't pick it up, and then I don't know if it's a V-Pilot thing. There it took it without issue. So 4 times trying it, no luck, and then it just works. I wish I knew why it did that. If anybody knows why it can be so, if you've had the trouble and you figured out the cure, I'd love to hear what it is. I'd absolutely love to hear. Sangster traffic, Air Jamaica 2910 heavy. We'll be back taxiing runway 25 at Sangster. We're kind of cooking along here. Slow it up for the turn. Before getting the active, we'll turn on all our lights. It's a fun little flight for a heavy. It's fun to do the short, you know, the short routes in the big jets. Gives you a great excuse to fly a heavy and not have to, you know, fly several thousand miles, and you can get it done fairly quickly. All right. Oh, the end of the runway's here. Okay. Well, maybe the runway's been changed since the scenery was made. I did not know that. Well, whatever. Sangster traffic, Air Jamaica 2910, departing runway 25, Sangster. No back taxi required. I wonder if they made the runway longer. Well, we'll have to complete the before takeoff checklist on the runway. My hands are full right now. This is why there's 2 crew members, folks. All right, the map looks good. The curly Q looks like it's gone. I underturned. Let's get it straightened out. Let's do the before takeoff. Flight controls are checked. Flight instruments are checked. Briefing is complete. Flap setting config 1 plus F. V1, VR, V2 flex. We're 55, 61, 65. Toga. ATC is set. And lights, camera, action. Lights are all on. Camera set. Action. We're going to leave the bleeds off. We'll start the timer here in just a second once we get lined up. Stable engines. Toga. Here we go. Montego SRS. Auto thrust is blue. Taking a lot of right rudder right now. Now it's smoothing out. 80 knots, start easing the side stick, neutral at 100 knots. There's V1. Rotate. Rotates nicely. Positive rate. Yep. I'm going to leave the flaps out and we're going to climb. I'm going to leave us at 200 knots. Press climb. I'm ignoring the, sorry, that's my bad. We need to do the right turn. Alright, that was my bad. I got fixated on why it wasn't going into managed mode, but it was, and I had not engaged the autopilot, so that was a early morning rookie mistake. Now we're back on where we need to be. Here's our 8 DME mark coming up. We had the auto retract to the flats, so we just got the slats out. And I'm just keeping the speed down to keep this turn in close. Feet, landing lights can come off. We're only going to 13. Pretty cool. Speed, alt cruise. 1,000 to go. Alt cruise. Go back to manage mode, flaps up. Alt cruise. There we go. Fun part of the departure is complete. I have to turn on the autopilot. AP1. We did our climb flows once I brought up the flaps. We can go ahead and let the flight attendants know that they can do their thing. Is cool. All right, and now we're on the 180, 310, 130. Radial outbound. Should be, right? Isn't that what it was? $120. Oh, it's just the airway, so 124. And that's exactly where we are. The tail of the needle is pointing at 124. Excellent. So, now that we're at cruise, let's talk about that departure. This illustrates the importance of doing a little departure briefing before you take off, especially if you're single pilot, especially if it's early in the morning and you're not at your tippy top alertness. Because what happened was, we took off, I flew runway heading, and then I reached up to bring the speed back to 200 knots because I didn't want to exceed 200 knots because of that turn. And in doing so, I lost track of the fact that we were in nav and the flight director was, and we needed to make that turn after departure, right? We took off on runway 25, you had to turn right to 265 or whatever it was, 267. So had I taken a look at the departure chart as we taxied onto the runway and done a quick rebrief confirmation of what the departure is, I wouldn't have missed that. It would have been more top of mind. So the fact that the runway configuration isn't as it is on the charts, and I didn't have the back taxi, forced me to line up before I had completed the steps I would have normally completed. So it's a great illustration of why it always pays to slow down, don't lose the sequence, your sequence of events that you're used to doing. Because a departure like this, where we're not climbing up through 18,000 feet, we're not doing any of that, it gets you sort of out of whack. It's a sequence that's not typical for a flight. I got rushed, and there's no reason to be rushed, especially in a sim, but certainly no reason in real life either. I mean, in a sim, you've got no reason to be rushed because it's not real. In real life, there's no reason to be rushed because it's not safe. So there we go. We did complete our takeoff checklist, our climb checklist. Now let's just double. We got to put in we already are in a spot where we have to prep for the descent. My flight, landing, our descent data, our performance data for the arrival airport says that the QNH is 1010. It is 23 degrees. Wind 360 at 4. And on the approach, the minimum descent altitude, the decision height, it's 278 feet. It's a barrow. It's not a decision height. It's a decision altitude. We got PAPI on both sides, sequenced alignment lights, alignment strobes, and we should be pretty well set up. it does want us to head down. So our altitude is going to be 2,000. We can already start down because we are high. We've already passed our top of descent. That's why we have the decelerate message. So we do our flight plan. We are all set up for the ILS into runway 12. We know the rad nav. We can clear out our auto tunes, or our manual tunes, and let it auto tune. IMLY 1091 with a course of 112. IMLY 1091, course of 123. Interesting. So let's make sure that is correct. Progress page. We are going into MKJP. See if it'll take the still nothing. I don't know why it's not recognizing that. Alright. Performance. Next phase. We got our descent in. Next phase we've got all set up, so we're good there. Fuel prediction is good. Second flying plan, we'll copy the active over, even though we should have already done it. And progress, we have good nav. I didn't check that as well, but our nav accuracy is high, so we're all set there. We're still in constraint mode, which is where we want to be, and we can start dialing it down. We'll leave it up at 40 right now. Okay, like I said, there's a lot going on. There's 10,000 feet, landing lights on. CTAF MKJP. $118.65. What do they go by here? Manly. So this is the call sign on the approach charts. So if you ever wonder who traffic, right? It's not Kingston traffic, it's Manly traffic, because it would be Manly Tower. Manly traffic, Air Jamaica 2910 heavy, 30 miles out to the northwest, inbound for the ILS runway 12, Manly. He wants some speed brake, wants me to start slowing down. Oh, because we're high. So we will do just that. Again, high workload, what single pilot, get you behind the airplane. Love that view. And we're catching back up with the profile. Descent, approach, briefings confirmed, ECAM status is checked, seatbelts are on, barrel ref 1010 set, left and center. Minimums are set. Engine mode select is norm. Approach check was complete. We're back on our path. I wanted to get us a little below speed. Have some potential energy stored up in case we needed to maintain the path. Air Jamaica. They had a really interesting fleet mix in this time period. They had MD-80s, MD-83s, the A340, the A310, Airbus A320s. I don't think they had any 321s yet. but just a kind of a nice mix of old and new technology. Alright, we're through 6,000, we're on VNAV path, we're on speed, coming up on Kino, and then Seabug is the next. Our missed approach altitude is 1,000 feet. Yeah, because it's out over the ocean. Now there's a localizer offset. I don't know if you all caught it, but the localizer is offset a little bit. So we're not going to be lined exactly up with the runway. There'll be a little bit of a difference. Nothing we can't handle. Airport's in sight. We can go to ILS mode. Should have done that on our, as part of our descent checklist. Let's go to approach mode. Cat 3 dual AP 1 and 2. And I'm going to go to managed. Let's catch back up with the localizer. Lokestar, thrust idle, open descent. We're going to have a tough time slowing down, I can already tell. Extend the speed brakes. Glide slope star. Go to flaps 1. Speed checks. Flaps 1. Glide slope. Need to start slowing up. Yeah, I got too fast. Too much energy. Let's see if we can get it together by 1,000 feet. We're in visual, so we could be stable by 500. Yeah, I know the speed brakes are still out. We'll go ahead and get the gear out, help slow us down. Gear down. Bring the speed brakes in. Flaps 2. And flaps 3. Speed checks. Flaps 3. Let's go to flaps full. Speed checks. Flaps full. Look at that, we're actually going to be stable by 1,000 feet. Alright, we got there. This plane's not quite as slippery as the A330. It's pretty over here. Nearly cool scenery. I do like this airport too, sitting out on this little island. But see the offset? Landing checklist. Cabin crew's been advised. Auto thrust speed is off. Auto brake is low. ECAM memo landing. No blue. Landing checklist complete. Autopilot off. Cat 1. 3 clicks means I'm in a degraded mode from what I was before, so it's trying to draw my attention to the Cat 1, because I was Cat 3. Land. Correcting for the offset now. A little bit of wind from the right, not much. Continue. No pappies. Unlike what was advertised.
100. 660, 440, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Spoilers. That was odd. I went into reverse and I got toga. Yeah, something's wrong with the binding. Alright, our brakes are going to be hot. So, put that brake fan on. Should have been decrease. Here goes the right side. Yeah, something's off with that binding. Well, that's why you should be ready to take over manually at any moment. Very eventful little flight. Oy vey. My goodness. Let's just get to the gate. Call it a day, shall we? My guess is we're going to go to gate 5. That looks like the heavy gate. Alright, just trying to get everything situated here. Select from the map. Yeah, this one, which is labeled gate 22, is the one I want. No. Looks like an ATR sitting there. There's my gate. On the end, which is oftentimes where the heavies go. There we go. I was waiting for it to switch back to the display. I want to see my brake temps. Yeah, they're a little warm. Ooh, dog. So I'd certainly, that's the first thing I would alert the ground crew to when they plug in. Stay away from the brakes. They are very hot right now. When you got the fans running and they're up by 300 degrees. That is hot. There's the hot brakes. Fans on. going to set the brake for now, but I want to get on chocks as fast as we can. Blades are on. Airplane's powered. Let's shut them down. Let them up. And we get the beacon off. Request deboarding. Open up the door. And let's get the chocks in. Chocks are in, so I'm going to set the brakes off. The gate doesn't work. Wah, wah. Well, folks, there we go. The Air Jamaica 1998 flight between Montego Bay and Kingston, and here we are in beautiful Kingston, Jamaica, where we'll be heading off back to the UK tomorrow. Probably through, or later tonight, through back up to Montego Bay, then onto the UK. But hope you enjoyed our quick little flight over the island of Jamaica. Heavy workload, made some mistakes along the way, which you're very liable to do in this type of single pilot high workload flight. But we had a good debrief about the departure, and I think it's something good to keep in mind for next time. So I am CJ, your classic jet sim pilot. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, keep the shiny side up.